What would you do if lightning struck out of nowhere and hit you? Would you survive? And what happens to the body in that instant?
It's wild to think about. We all know lightning can be dangerous, but what does it really feel like? And could you even walk away from it? Well, today, we're finding out.
Exactly. Because today's episode is more than just stats and science. We have an actual lightning strike survivor with us to share his incredible story, how he lived through one of nature's most powerful forces.
We'll dive into his story and find out what it takes to come back from such a close call. And hey, stay with us until the end for our 10-word vocabulary takeaway. These words will give you new ways to talk about survival and resilience.
So stick around. Everyone, we're answering that big question and hearing a story that'll make you think twice next time you hear thunder. All right, everyone, as promised, we have a really unique guest joining us today. This isn't your average interview. Our guest, Matt, actually survived being struck by lightning.
That's right. Matt's here to tell us what it was really like and how he got through such a terrifying experience. And yes, he's here to talk about the experience firsthand. No myths, no urban legends, just the real thing.
So, Matt, let's start with where you were that day. I mean, lightning strikes are rare, and the chance of being struck is even rarer.
Yeah, it was honestly the last thing I ever expected to happen to me. I was out for a hike, trying to get in a bit of nature therapy. Suddenly, this storm rolled in so fast I barely had time to react. I didn't even think about taking cover since it seemed pretty distant at first.
Oh wow, so it really was sudden. Were you close to shelter, or were you out in the open?
Yeah, I was in an open area, which made me a perfect target. Apparently, 1 minute I was admiring the view, and the next thing I knew, I felt this intense jolt. Honestly, it felt like my body was on fire from the inside.
That must have been terrifying, and I think a lot of us are probably wondering what goes through your mind at a moment like that.
It's surreal. There was this moment where everything went silent, and I felt like I was out of my body, watching it all unfold. My whole left side went numb, and I couldn't move for what felt like an eternity.
It's incredible that you're here with us now. What helped you make it through that moment? Did you have a specific thought or mindset?
Honestly, I think it was a mix of shock and survival instinct. I remember thinking, this can't be it. That thought just kept me going somehow.
Such an amazing story, Matt. We're all eager to hear more about how you processed that experience in the aftermath, especially the impact it had on your life and mindset. So let's dive into that next. All right, everyone, we're back, and as promised, we have an incredible first-hand story to share today. Our special guest, Jake, has lived through something truly shocking, literally. Jake, can you walk us through what happened that day?
Yeah, it's surreal to think about, honestly. So, it was just a regular day for me. I was out hiking, and the weather was a bit overcast, but nothing that looked dangerous. Suddenly, the sky just darkened, and out of nowhere, bam, I felt this intense jolt.
That must have been terrifying. What was it like in that exact moment? Did you realize you'd been hit by lightning?
Not at first. It happened so fast. I felt this huge shock and this weird buzzing sensation all over my body. It's hard to describe, but I remember feeling my whole body go numb, like I was frozen. For a few seconds, it was like everything went blank, and then, I just dropped to the ground. When I came to, I was in shock. I was confused, didn't know where I was, and honestly, I didn't even know what hit me.
Wow, I can't imagine. Did you have any burns or physical injuries?
Yeah, I had burns, mostly on my arm, where the current seemed to enter. The burns looked almost like little tree branches across my skin. Doctors told me that's a pattern called a Lichtenberg figure, a result of the intense electrical charge. I also had a ringing in my ears for days, and it took a while before I could even feel my arm again.
That's insane. It sounds like such an intense physical experience, but emotionally, it must have left a mark too.
Absolutely. I remember feeling so small, like I had zero control over anything in that moment. The emotional impact actually hit me later. I was pretty shaken up for weeks, scared even to go outside during a storm. It made me rethink a lot about safety and even my approach to life.
You're so brave to share this. What about your recovery? How long did it take for you to get back to normal?
Recovery took time. Physically, I was pretty lucky, but emotionally, it took longer. I had to deal with some lingering nerve pain and fatigue, but mentally processing what happened was the toughest part. I ended up seeing a therapist to work through the trauma, and that helped. But even now, there are lasting effects, like I have this constant awareness of thunderstorms that I never had before.
Jake, thank you for sharing such a powerful story. It's amazing to hear how you managed to bounce back after an experience like that.
Really, thank you. It's so eye-opening for us and the listeners to hear firsthand what it's like to experience something so rare and intense.
So, we've all heard those sayings like, lightning never strikes the same place twice, or that being indoors is always safe. But how true are these beliefs? Let's start by busting a few myths. Sophie.
Absolutely. One of the biggest myths out there is that lightning only strikes tall objects. While that's true to an extent, lightning is unpredictable and can strike anywhere. So even if you're not the tallest object, it doesn't guarantee you're safe.
Exactly. And here's one more. Some people think rubber soles or car tires protect you from lightning. But what really protects you in a car isn't the tires, it's the metal frame, which conducts the lightning around you, keeping you safe inside. Being grounded doesn't mean wearing rubber shoes. It's more about staying away from open spaces or metal objects.
Right, Chris. And on the topic of where and when lightning strikes, I found out that your odds of being struck are roughly 1 in 500,000 per year. But while that sounds low, those odds increase with exposure, like being outdoors often or living in a high lightning area.
Yeah, it's a pretty intense statistic. And speaking of what actually happens during a strike, here's the science part that blew my mind. When lightning strikes a person, it can reach temperatures of around 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 5 times hotter than the sun's surface.
5 times hotter, just trying to imagine that is surreal. And it also sends a massive electrical current through the body, which can cause severe burns, nerve damage, and even affect memory and cognitive functions.
It really changes how you think about lightning safety. Actually, Sophie, remember that time we were caught in a thunderstorm while hiking? I kept thinking, oh, we're safe if we just stay low and under the trees. Little did I know, that's actually risky.
Oh, I remember. We thought that if we weren't on top of a mountain, we'd be fine. It's wild how this episode is changing how I view those stormy situations. Now, I'd stay far from trees, metal, and avoid open fields.
Same here. This has been a wake-up call for both of us, I think, and with everything our guest shared about his experience, I'm definitely more cautious. Lightning is incredible but terrifyingly powerful.
Definitely. I think everyone listening today will look at thunderstorms a bit differently now. But if you take a few precautions and respect the power of nature, you can stay safe. And remember, folks, there are some great apps and sites to check lightning activity if you're planning to be outdoors.
Exactly, and we'll cover some of those at the end of our vocabulary review, so stay tuned for that.
All right, let's dive into our vocabulary session. These words will help you understand the story we heard today and expand your English vocabulary. We'll go over each word, give the pronunciation, the meaning, and then provide a sentence. Ready to follow along? Let's go! 1. Electrocution. Repeat after us. Electrocution. It means injury or death caused by electric shock. Example: the man narrowly survived electrocution from a lightning strike.
2. Survivor. Repeat after us. Survivor. It's a person who lives through a dangerous experience. Example: he became a survivor after being struck by lightning.
3. Voltage. Repeat after us. Voltage. It's a measure of electric power, especially high in lightning. Example: the voltage of lightning is much higher than household electricity.
4. Resilience. Repeat after us. Resilience. It's the ability to recover from difficulty or shock. Example: resilience helped him overcome the trauma of the accident.
5. Grounded. Repeat after us. Grounded. It means connected to the earth to safely direct electricity. Example: standing in water makes you less grounded, increasing risk during a storm.
6. Amperage. Repeat after us. Amperage. It's the strength of electric current, which can be deadly if high. Example: the amperage in a lightning bolt is far greater than most electrical circuits.
7. Flashover. Repeat after us. Flashover. It's when electricity passes outside the body rather than through it. Example: the lightning flashover caused burns on his skin.
8. Precaution. Repeat after us. Precaution. A measure taken to prevent danger. Example: he took the precaution of staying indoors during the storm.
9. Debilitating. Repeat after us. Debilitating. It describes something that weakens or drains strength. Example: the lightning strike had a debilitating effect on his body for weeks.
10. Trauma. Repeat after us. Trauma. It's a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Example: surviving the lightning strike was a trauma he won't soon forget.
That wraps up our vocabulary session. These words give more depth to the story we heard today, helping you describe powerful experiences in English. All right, so the big question we asked at the beginning was, can you actually survive a lightning strike? And now that we've heard our guest story, we have our answer: yes. Survival is possible, but it's no small feat. There's a lot to overcome, both physically and mentally.
Exactly, and it's amazing to think about how resilient the human body and mind can be. Our guest's experience really shows that surviving a lightning strike isn't just about luck. It's about resilience, adaptability, and strength in the face of something that seems almost impossible to recover from.
And I think it's a reminder that facing extreme situations like this, though none of us would want to, can really change your perspective on life. Surviving something so intense can make every day feel like a gift. It's inspiring to see people who've gone through these experiences live with a new appreciation for life.
Totally agree. And while most of us, hopefully, won't have a close call with lightning, we can learn a lot from stories like these about resilience, staying calm under pressure, and finding meaning after big challenges.
Well, listeners, we hope this episode left you with some insights into the unexpected things our bodies and minds are capable of. Don't forget to stick around for our vocabulary takeaway, 10 words we've chosen to help you keep building your English skills.
And stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll be diving into another fascinating topic. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, and remember, life storms may come, but resilience can help us weather even the most unexpected ones.
This is the end of today's episode, but remember, learning English doesn't stop here. There's so much more to explore, so make sure to check out our other episodes to keep your English journey going. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and stay updated with our latest lessons. Keep practicing, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode. Happy learning!